Hello folks, welcome to OTD, also known as On the Deck, where you can get all the sports you need in 10 minutes. My name is Adam Orduna. This is my mom, Gina.
He is the journalist.
She's the enthusiast.
Yes, I am, because it's football.
Yes.
Finally, we made it through the long drive.
Right,
though.
correct. Yes, we are finally at that point in time where NFL teams are in their respective training camps. College teams are now, they've either done their media days, their conference media days, and they're getting ready to start their camps as well. Some conferences are doing their media days right now, finishing up this week. So it's a big deal. Football is starting, and so we're really excited to finally be talking about our favorite sport, and that's football. So we want to say happy Thursday to everyone. We are trying to dry out, actually, after what took place over last weekend, and this whole week it's been raining. We got streets flooded and everything. It's been crazy.
We're obviously in Kansas City, and we were on the national news this morning because of how much flash flooding.
The rain has
Fire
just
department
been
was
torrential.
pulling people out of stuff left and right.
Right.
So far, I think there's no loss of life, so that's what's
That's
important.
really good, yes. Well, as we mentioned, we're talking about football today. We're going to talk about some of the NFL training camps that have took place, some of the media days, as we mentioned as well. There are some, I guess you could call it cowboy news, that broke earlier this week, dealing with one player that we're gonna bring up as well. But first off, let's talk about Julio Jones. Okay, so we'll talk about some of the individuals within this. Wait, hold
on! I forgot my $150,000 earrings in the house.
yeah.
You don't want to real quick.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh!
Julio Jones.
I actually was going to come out with my big rocks in today.
Yeah. Well, you know, Julio Jones is just like every other star, athlete, or rapper, entertainer. You know, you want to wear jewelry, you want to be flashy and have your bling on or whatever. Well, he was out at some lake or whatever.
On a jet ski.
And he was not intelligent by wearing his $150,000 big fat earrings and just didn't think about the fact that, oh, these possibly could fall out of my ears.
We've been on jet skis.
Yes.
Sometimes you fall off those jokers, or a big wave hits you and you crash. When you hit the water, you're hitting at a velocity that sometimes it knocks the wind out of you, you get water up your nose. This knocked his earring out.
You're on the lake. The wakes come up, and even if you don't really hit a wake, you're just going around the corner fast, and things fall off all the time. I lost a pair of shorts, and at one of my buddy's lakes. Gone. You can never retrieve them.
I've lost hats and sunglasses. Forget about it.
Right.
You need to go to the dollar store and get you some sunglasses if you're going to the lake.
Exactly.
Because you're going to lose them.
You're going to lose your $150,000 earrings.
Oh my goodness.
Again, he probably can afford it because he is one of the elite receivers and players in the NFL.
Maybe not, because he spent $20,000 on a dive team to go into the lake to try and get it.
I think it's more just, it hurts your feelings to know that something like that took place on your watch. Nobody stole them. You were unintelligent and wore those jokers, like you said, on a jet ski at the lake. And so, yeah, he tried to hire a dive team. What is that? It's something this big.
Well, I think a $150,000 rock is probably big enough. But
it's big enough.
Lakes are not the Caribbean Ocean. This is not blue water. You're down here in brown and green water.
And even at that, you're not going to find, even as big as a big rock like that, you're not going to find it on first hand. So you're lucky to even get close to finding something like that. So anyways, Julio Jones, his feelings are hurt.
They are hurt.
He's sad right now because
I'm sad for it.
That's a lot of money that you put in your ears that you can't get back.
You know who's not sad? Chad Ochocinco. Because he was on Hard Knocks a couple of years ago when he was with the Bengals, and he took the crew with him. He said, let me show you where I get my jewelry. He pulled right up to Claire's and went right to the cubic zirconia at $19.99 to $39.99.
Got the big fat ones.
And they look the same. No one can tell.
They look the exact same.
But I bet you don't have to pay $20,000 for a dive team if your $30 earring falls out in the lake.
It's just ridiculous.
Thank you, Chad Ochocinco, for having some sense.
I mean, and it's just the truth. That it's just too much money to put in your ears. I'm sorry.
Ridiculous.
And Chad Ochocinco at that time was one of the best receivers in the NFL. And he's still getting paid by the league because he's been in the league longer than 10 years. You get that NFL pension.
And he's still buying fake jewelry.
Exactly. So it's just one of those things where it's like, that's one of those, the song Bad and Bougie. You don't have to just be bougie and buy you can get just the simple plain Jane earrings
well, let me
and
give you my
still,
philosophy on that. I'm not a big jewelry person. I do like a bracelet, you know, that sort of thing. But if you do invest in $150,000 jewelry, you insure it and you bring it out when you go to the ESPYs or if you're doing a big red carpet event. And then the rest of the time, you go find the closest cubic zirconia you can, and that's what you wear out on regular days. Or going to the lake or flossing in the club. You're not wearing your real stuff to the club.
No.
Because you're just begging for somebody to snatch it out of your ear.
Well, there's the target for the night. That guy right there. Exactly.
There you go.
And when you're at, it just doesn't make sense. Why, when you know you're going to be swimming and stuff,
right?
Why would you wear jewelry where you know it could get tainted, it could get scratched up? It's just not what's unintelligent.
Like I said, if you're on the
Julio,
lake,
but dang,
you need sunglasses. Go to the dollar store,
right?
Because you're going to lose them.
Well,
anyway,
yeah. Speaking of receivers, this was kind of the Cowboy news that broke loose earlier this week on Monday. Lucky Whitehead, who was a receiver / returner for the Cowboys, he was kind of a third, fourth team receiver, but he offered a lot of speed and athleticism to that position.
Run some jet sweeps.
Jet sweeps, and he was a punt kick return guy, could kind of stretch the field vertically. Well, he was charged with allegedly stealing $40 worth of merchandise.
Candy bars, actually.
Candy bars.
$40 worth of candy bars.
Right.
Which you knew that person who stole it was actually going to take it out to whatever, the family picnic or the park, and go knock on the door. I'd like to sell you these candy bars. That's what was going to happen.
Lucky Whitehead got misidentified by the police down in Virginia. Somebody used Lucky Whitehead's identity, had his social security number and all. I don't even know how all that stuff broke out.
I don't think it's that hard to get someone's social security number, to be honest with you.
He was claiming to be Lucky Whitehead. Well, they booked the guy that they thought was Lucky Whitehead. So Lucky Whitehead gets released from the Cowboys on Monday for robbery.
And apparently the person got arrested for the robbery and then didn't show up for the court date. Afterwards, Lucky wasn't. How would he show up for court for something he didn't do? He didn't even know about.
Exactly. And Lucky was like, "Look, I've been in Dallas. I've got the plane ticket to show you that I was not there." So the Cowboys' knee-jerk reaction, because Lucky's sort of has a checkered past. Not sort of, he does, but it's not super egregious stuff.
Certainly not bad stuff.
Not stuff to just all this. The stuff that he got released for, half the people on the roster have way worse charges than he does. So the knee-jerk reaction by the Cowboys, they just released him anyway. And so it's been all over social media and all this and that. And so the Jets were reluctant to pick up Lucky Whitehead. So he's got a fresh start in New York. Hopefully he makes the team.
They were reluctant, or they grabbed him up.
Well, yes.
Him up.
They did snatch him up. Hopefully he does make the team and he can continue on with his NFL career, at least for one more season.
Bad look for the Cowboys, but at the end of the day, I think Jerry Jones called the Jets and said, "Please take this man.
So.
Every day that he's not on a roster, people are coming at me about it." So once Lucky got on a roster, he's just like, "Woo, moving on."
Right. Well, let's talk about some college football.
Yes.
There has been some big news in the SEC. Number one is the SEC Media Days.
Nick Saban's been on all the TV.
Walking through the ESPN tours and stuff like that, doing the tours on the different shows. Hugh Freeze, who is the head coach, or was the head coach of Ole Miss University, he just got let go from the school because of his off-the-field antics as well. This is a man that has done a pretty good job with Ole Miss, got them to bowl games, winning records, getting guys in the league, etc. He's a pretty good coach, but like a lot of the coaches, like Art Briles or whatever, there's been some dirt going on there and at the school that he's been at. Well, he was actually involved with this stuff that he got fired for. Hugh Freeze was let go because he was calling escorts
on the school phone.
On the school property phone, with multiple calls and text messages or whatever. He was in contact with the escort service, also just known as basically getting prostitutes. Escort's the nice way or the professional way of saying it, but it's prostitutes for whatever reason, for what he was trying to do. And the school was like, we can't sweep this under the rug anymore. We got to do something.
Good sense to cleanse his records. They had the text messages, they had the phone numbers, and some of those things I think charge you when you call, and so it was easy. And they were just like, look, I think there were other things they weren't quite happy with, but that was just like, no, listen, you're in the Bible Belt South down here. We cannot have our head football coach.
And there was hangover with the Houston Nut stuff, and there's all this other coaching stuff that was going on that they were like, we can't do this. So we had to part ways. And so when we kind of transit, and Ole Miss is kind of, speaking of, with Ole Miss has been the giant killer for Alabama.
True.
Every year, Alabama's going to have their hands full with Ole Miss. And so speaking of Alabama, Nick Saban, he's been on a lot of the ESPN shows talking about what his thoughts are with the Power 5 conferences and the scheduling and things like that. One of the things that he mentioned was the Power 5 schools should just play each other. What are your thoughts on that as we're kind of getting closer towards the end?
I think that's too limiting. I think what Nick was trying to say is that it doesn't serve anybody. It's not, we don't have a preseason in college football.
Right.
And it doesn't really serve your team to get ready for conference play if your out-of-conference game is against St. Mary the Poor State Southern.
Yeah.
Tech.
Right.
And that's what happens. Like even our favorite team, K-State, your Wildcat, they're opening up against Central Arkansas or something.
Yeah, Central Arkansas.
I don't think that you only should play Power 5 conferences, but I do think you should only play FBS schools.
Sure.
So if you want to play the Group of 5 conferences, Mountain West or AAC,
the MAC, Conference USA,
that's fine.
Exactly.
I have no problem with that, but I actually agree with Nick. I think it diminishes the game. The ratings are terrible on that. And the other thing, real quick, is like in the pros, they have a preseason, but the preseason is where you're playing your guys on the bubble, third, fourth team guys.
Yes.
Well, in college, when you're playing St. Mary the Poor and you're Nebraska, you're not letting your fourth and third guys on the depth chart play. You're still running your ones and twos against those guys.
At least to start the elite,
So what were your thoughts? You had an idea about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, as we are finishing up here, honestly, for me, if you are going to schedule, if you do want to do something like that, first off, I feel like with everyone skipping out on the bowl games, as this is a trend that I don't know if it's going to decline or continue on, but it is a trend. You don't want to just schedule, the lower level teams because it's like, hey, it's adding on to the season. And so what you need to do is during your camp, the last week of camp or the final days of camp, you do schedule a Central Arkansas and you do a half game or something like that, or you do play a exhibition game where the first half is your starters, you guys iron out the details, and then the second half is the backups, the second, third, fourth, fourth team guys. Then you get a chance to really see them, and then that's kind of your preseason there. And then game one, you're actually going up against guys in your own conference, guys against the SEC or the Pac-12 or etc.
And some of those guys, third and fourth in the depth chart, might surprise you.
Exactly. And so now when you do play a Missouri State or Central Arkansas or Drake or whatever, now you've kind of ironed out the details and you get a chance to see who's really ready to play.
They should listen to you.
Yeah, there's exactly. We go on all day about that, but it is what it is. So I agree. I think with Nick, he was just
but his point was, look, we need to quit doing these pointless games where the score is 105.
And guys can potentially get hurt and get blowouts. It's just ridiculous. But football is right here, guys. We can smell it. We can sniff it.
Yes, we're close.
The NFL training camps are kicking off. Cam Newton was dancing at his first practice, so I'm excited. So I want to say we appreciate your time, folks. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our Facebook page. We'll see you again, folks.